Hello LEGO friends, Matt from Brooks here, and in today's video we're going to take a look at my basically done for now completed chemical plant MOC build. And here it is. Stay tuned! Welcome back everybody. In today's video we're going to look at this MOC build that I started previously. And other than missing train track, which is designated by that stuff right there, this build I'm calling done for now. This is my chemical plant MOC. I'm quite pleased with it. It took a lot of work. And I modeled it off of a few different things. Some real life inspiration and some LEGO design I had seen previously. It's definitely my own. It is pretty unique, but I'm quite pleased with it. So let's go ahead and take a look at everything we got going on here, because there's a lot to unpack. All right, I've turned it so we can start with a look at this side here. I'm going to turn on my lights. There we go. And inside here, this is the control room and the supervisor area, and kind of the break room all in one. So you can see there's the supervisor at her desk working on things. Couple workers on break, a couple folks are manning the control panels there, and I have a lot of printed tiles and computer panels that I put in place, and there's some monitoring panels above as well. So there's a lot going on here because there's a lot of processes that actually need to be monitored and controlled from this room. So that's what's going on. I did light this up. I don't have it connected right now because I'll be turning this thing around multiple times, and I don't want to have to deal with the cable because of that. So I'm going to do my best to show you things with the flash. I do have a small hallway right here you can see in there. So this section is enclosed and it's got doorways and things that can be locked. This other room, which unfortunately I do have covered by panels other than, if I can get this angled. It's tough to see, and I can't get the roof off easily without taking apart some other stuff, but this is a utilities room of various sorts. There's a few different things in there, pumps and electrical generation and things like that, just to give it a semblance of realism. I don't know if I can get a look inside here or not. The idea is that there's two different ways to get up to the roof here, from the main control room and from the utility room up to the second level. There are a couple stairways to get up there, so we see this one worker is looking to get up to the second level to do more testing or check on systems, etc., etc. Would this be practical in realistic terms? I'm not sure, but I felt like I wanted this space right here to look a little bit more finished than the real industrial part, which I made to be a little bit more open. So let's have a look at that other section next. All right, so this is the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. And I'm going to start, which I don't remember if I did this in my first video or not. I'm going to start by saying that I don't know anything about how these things work, flat out. So I'm going to just try to explain some very basic terms that I learned literally through ChatGPT and Google Gemini about real basic functionality, and I tried to build from that. So again, this will have two rail lines moving through it. So the idea of this island, first of all, is that this is intake and outtake for rail tankers in particular. On both sides, there's this large tubing cable. This will connect into the bottom of the rail cars where they can empty out their whatever liquid they've got. That is processed in this area right here. You can see there's like a tank there, or a pump or whatever, and a tank there. And depending on how things are set up, that stuff will be offloaded through a couple different piping systems into, this will be hard to see as I'm turning this again for the 5th time. There's gonna be a lot of turning here. There are some wires in here, ignore that. There's a little bit of lighting. This side is what I'm calling the intake. There are a few storage tanks in here, various sorts, and the idea is that chemicals, raw material, are pumped in, and they're stored in these various tanks. There's some piping that's a little tough to see, but you can kind of see up in there, that runs into these different tanks. The The idea is that compounds are stored in there, and basically, depending on what kind of processing is going on, different things will be then routed up into the main system for processing and other chemical work. So first step, per ChatGPT and Gemini, Google, whatever, was your intake and your intake storage. We'll skip the top part because that's, in my opinion, the most exciting. Once you have all the processing done, you've got new chemicals that you want to actually ship out. I have a similar section down here that almost kind of mirrors the other side. So if I get the phone in here, it's tough to see. Apologies over reflection there, but you can see there's a few storage tanks and different things that turn pumps on and off and all that stuff. But these are where the outbound chemicals are stored. You can see there's some pipe work there that goes in and out. So these two pipes will lead to the outbound storage. You can see there's a couple tanks here. I actually broke off a piece, which I gotta get back on somehow. I'm not gonna worry about that right this second. But the idea is that the tankers will come over and they'll load up. You can see there's one that's kind of broken off right there. There's another one right there. They're gonna load in the chemicals right here. Directly either come down and connect to the top of the tanker and load up the chemicals to take out to wherever they're gonna go. And that's how that part of it works. Let me talk about the main part of this next. All right, so up on the main level, which will be the most visible, of course, other than the island here, is all this. Ignore that in the corner right now. That's just a joke. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But the idea is that you've got a bunch of different processing systems of sorts. And you don't see it here, but the idea is that there's tanks below that will push product up into these various systems. Things will happen, things will get processed, mixed together, heated, distilled, you know, whatever the case may be. I haven't decided fully, but that's kind of the idea. See, there's a lot of pipe work between these. There's an exhaust for this system that will transport chemicals to different different sections here, depending on what kind of things are happening. You see here, there's a tank with another one that's offloading up into here, into the top part of this one for processing. This one loads right into the bottom, depending on what's going on. There's also some offloading from this tank over to this one. For more processing, there's a stack to burn off some chemicals and things there. This also offloads over to this tank for more processing. There's a stack there. That does light up. I do have to check and see what's going on below, though, because for some reason my connection isn't working right, but more processing happens there, and there's another offshoot pipe that goes over to this other unit here for more processing. And of course, the hidden part that you don't see is that these things also have pipework that leads down into the outtake storage below as well. One more thing I wanted to mention before I get to the silly part of this. Let me turn this around again, this side. There's a couple of other things here, smaller storage tanks. And a panel up here for some controls of the systems on the main site, the main portion here, depending on what they have to do, that can override the internal control room down below. But I feel like I've caught the essence of what's supposed to happen with a bunch of these different tanks and processing systems. It looks fairly packed and stacked, as Robin Hood Brooks would say. I'm pretty happy with it. I've got some ventilation and stack work there, so I think that works. And now we'll go to kind of what I don't want to call the elephant in the room per se, but the silly part of this. During the streams, when I was building this on Twitch, we had some jokes about wanting to have just an open vat of chemical, of like green sludge or something like that. I chose to use a bunch of yellow because that's what I have the most of. And the idea is that we would have, we call it Greg variant, my buddy Greg, Lego Greg B. One of his quote variants that we joke about, I chose Mini Doll Greg. Mini Doll Greg accidentally fell into this, and you know, things are happening. And this worker here is trying to help Mini Doll Greg. So I don't usually do silly or stupid scenes, but I just feel like this kind of called for it, because why not? So I want to use up that section somehow, since I've already got so much stuff up here. So we have we got Mini Del Greg in a vat of some kind of toxic waste. I don't know. So it's kind of silly. But with that, that's a real high-level overview of everything that I've done with this build. This took me a number of streams to do, and overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. I was trying to use, again, parts I have on hand, using up a bunch of those support pieces I got from the pad wall, a bunch of these various things I've collected through Pick-a-Brick and Bulk and all this other stuff. Digging through bins at various Build-A-Minifigure locations and things like that. So overall, I'm quite pleased with it. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out pipe work to make it feel semi-realistic. I think I've done the job with that, especially up in the top. I'm quite pleased with all that. And this is going to go into my my industrial area in the city that is slowly going to be rebuilt here, which is why I'm working on projects like this, because these have to be in place so I can understand my spacing and all that as I move forward with the rest of the city rebuild. So other than me getting the train stuff aligned here, which I need to do, the main part of the build here is done. I'm quite pleased with it, and we'll call it a wrap. So yeah, as always, I want to thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. Things like this and other great fun I have, products or MOCs or whatever I build over on my Twitch live streams at Brooks Bricks. Make sure you give me a follow there. And I do simulcast over here on YouTube as well, so make sure you're subscribed. Hit that like button, all that good stuff. Thank you for watching. Until next time with more great builds, I will see you then. Bye for now.